Hiya, today I'm going to show you this makeup look. It's a lovely kind of fresh beachy look, using lots of blush to bring a bit of life to the skin and then adding some freckles so that you don't look like you've got as much makeup on. I've gone into some hooded eye or dropped eye techniques, so Simran and Lisa, I hope you like those. And this look, I'll show you a picture in a minute, is one that Laura picked out for me to do, so Laura, thank you for the suggestion. Hope you enjoy. Just a reminder that everything I've used in this video is listed in the caption, so if you click to make it full screen, the title will come up along the top, click the arrow and a full list of products will drop down. So I'm going to start by prepping my skin, and Deb, you'd asked me for some tips for oily skin, getting your makeup to last, things like that. I really think a lot of that is in the first step. I'm going to go in with the IT Cosmetics Confidence in a Gel Lotion. This is a really thin texture and it's oil free. And what I would say to you, Deb, is find something oil free and take it very sparingly in the areas where you're most prone to oil. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to take this all over in a nice sheer layer, and then when I've hardly got anything left on my hands, that's when I'm going to take the excess through the centre of the face. And what that means is I haven't got a product build up in those areas, but I've got a nice layer of hydration all over, because even when you're using something for oily skin, I really think that your makeup lasts so much longer if you've got really hydrated skin. So definitely keep the hydration up, but just try something oil-free. I'm going to go in now with my IT CC cream in the shade medium. Now, what I want to achieve today is a makeup look that doesn't look like a lot, but that still, where's my brush? But that still gives me coverage where I need it. So I'm going to use my Complexion Perfection brush and just really gently, oh, got one of my hairs in there, really gently buff this in all over. And then what I'll do, I'm going to take a sheer layer all over, and then afterwards, if I still feel like there's areas where there's redness showing through or the coverage isn't as much as I would like, I'll go back in and build a little bit more. But it's always nice to start soft and see how much I actually need. Hair is all over the place today. Now, as you can see, I tend to go a little bit warmer with my CC cream. Actually, this is a really good point that I meant to mention in another video. I think I've said that before, me always going on about how I've got really good points to make, honestly. Anyway, embarrassing self-praise aside, what I personally find when I'm working with redness in my own skin, if I go slightly warmer and slightly more golden, it actually helps to correct that redness, because I find if I was to go for an absolutely true match to my complexion, which is very, very fair, and I mean, I have got tan on my neck and elsewhere today, if I go for a completely fair colour and put it right on top of very prominent redness, it almost looks like a black bra under a white t-shirt, to quote Dr. Emma, really good analogy that she mentioned the other day. And I actually feel like using something a bit more golden helps to just diffuse that redness altogether. So that's just my personal preference. And I mean, plenty of makeup artists would tell you to always do a true match, and, you know, each to their own. But I personally find that warming up a bit makes me feel a bit better. Okay, so today I've got a few little questions I wanted to touch on. So Deb, you were asking me about the oily skin. I'm going to keep that in mind for you. Simran and Lisa, you had both asked me for tips for kind of hooded eyes or eyes that have slightly dropped. And then my friend Laura gave me these pictures of this lady from Baywatch, and it's like a really lovely, fresh, lots of blush, nice full brow, really soft eyes. So that's the kind of look I'm going to go for. The first thing I'm going to do is fill these brows out a bit and get them feeling nice and full. Let me go into a hand mirror. And to do this, I'm first of all going to take the IT Cosmetics Brow Power Pencil to just add a little bit more of a tint just through the natural shape of my brows. I'm not particularly drawing anything on that isn't there. And then once I've added a bit more colour, I'm going to fluff it out using some brow wax. Okay, so my brows are on, but before I put any wax on, I'm just going to take some translucent powder and set this CC cream into place. Now, if I had done the wax first and then tried to put powder on, it's going to clump in that wax. So I want that to be the last step once I've finished my complexion. Now, Deb, what I'm doing here is adding a nice thin layer of powder everywhere that I know I'm prone to oil. And then I'm going to apply a little bit everywhere, but just take the majority of it down the centre of that face. And then Panna, you'd asked me a while ago about, I'd done a video basically saying that if you use a flat brush and press your powder in, it helps to layer the powder and lock everything into place without moving what's underneath. And you'd said, would I do the same with eyes? Now for eyes, personally, if you want to use powder to seal your concealer or anything in place, I would go in with a tiny little brush, and rather than press around the eye area, I would just sweep it gently, because anything that's too heavy in that eye area might kind of accentuate the appearance of fine lines or feel a bit dry or uncomfortable, whereas a tiny little sweep of powder will seal your concealer in place and it will not move. Okay, now eyes wise, I'm going to keep my eyes really simple today, and I want to show you this palette. I used it in a Reels video the other day actually. It's from Collection at Boots. It's $4.99, really lovely kind of high street find. These colours, if you see, this is the Sahara Dunes palette. They're kind of a few shades deeper than my natural skin tone in a slightly warmer family. And what I would say is, if you want a really simple, elegant makeup look, in particular your eyeshadow, find colours that are, you know, a couple of shades within the colour of your natural complexion. And that way, you get like a lovely colour transition that suits you and looks really fresh. I'm going in with this soft brown, by the way. But also it means that you don't have to be super precise with any harsh lines. It will all kind of blend that bit more easily and it will look much softer, but you still feel nice and polished. Now I'm taking a Doll Beauty blending brush. You can take any blending brush that you have. And I'm first of all just creating a really soft flush of colour almost above, see where my eyes naturally sit there. If I go through that line, this is going to be a teeny tiny smoky eye, but I want my eyes to look bigger. So I'm actually going above that line. I'm making the most of the space between that line and the brow, which is loads of space. And in the name of kind of making these eyes look a bit bigger, and this will work really well with any kind of hooded eye, maybe you're noticing a few fine lines in your eyes, it just lifts everything up a little bit and gives a bit more of a, you know, lifted finish. I'm then going to take this kind of taupey shade all over the lids, just using my ring finger. And I'm also going to take a little bit of that shade underneath the eye. Not only will this marry everything together, but in particular, if you're working with a slightly more hooded eye shape, don't forget that this part of your eye is going to catch someone's attention just as much as the top. And this is a really lovely place to put your colour so that the colours of your eyeshadow are still really striking. In particular, if you're using a colour that's the opposite to your eye colour, placing it here will be right by that blue and really make it pop. Now, in the name of keeping everything as natural as possible to match Laura's picture that she showed me, I'm going to keep this really simple. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to add a bit of highlight under this brow bone on either side. I'm going to get my mascara on and I'm going to finish this eye makeup nice and quickly so that we can focus on the skin. And I'm going in with the IT Cosmetics Superhero Mascara. For the record, favourite mascara of all time. Okay, I'm going to go in now with a nice layer of bronzer. I'm going to take this through the cheeks, predominantly through the forehead, a little bit down the nose. This is the Laura Mercier Baked Bronzer. If you want something in a really lightweight, soft, buttery kind of finish, it's a beautiful one. Okay, now that we've got that really golden sweep, I'm going to go in with this Nude Sticks blush. This is the shade, would be helpful if I knew that, Sunset Strip. And I'm going to take this on a fluffy brush. This is a Peaches PC15 because I want to put this in quite a few places, but I don't want to rub it on in case it lifts what I've got on underneath. So I'm using a really soft touch to buff this on with a fluffy brush. Now I'm really going to quite go to town with this because as well, if you had naturally been sat in the sun, you'd be quite pink, you wouldn't just have a tan. So I'm going right the way down this nose, and it's amazing how much more natural it can make your makeup look. This might look like a lot. I mean, it does look like a lot, but in a minute, this will all come together. I'm going to take some through the temples as well. Now that I've finished my powders, I'm going to run some of this wax through the brows and then use the spoolie on the end of the pencil to brush this through. Now, as you can see, this has really flattened them to the face, but it kind of accentuates every single hair and helps them to look nice and brushed up like that photo. Okay, and now I'm going to go in with some freckle tint. It wouldn't be a makeup for Laura without freckle tint, but also freckles are just really lovely to make everything look more natural. I'm going to start on the nose and then press these in just using my finger. I absolutely love that. I always think if you draw freckles on, it makes you look like you've got less coverage on, because if you had loads of coverage, your freckles wouldn't be showing through. So it's always a really good tip if you want to distract from how much coverage you're wearing. Okay, I'm going to go in with the Peaches and Cream liner in Praline. And then a little bit of Charlotte Tilbury lipstick in Sexy Sienna. Well, there we go. What do we think? I don't think I did too bad of a job of that one. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If there's anything you want to see a video of, feel free to let me know in the comments. Thank you if you sent me in a question. I honestly love going through the questions. Half the time I wake up and think, you know, which colours shall I use? What shall I do? And it's actually lovely for me to have a bit of a framework. So please keep them coming. I'll chat to you very soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.